Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 20 online CFM game. We are still in the 2021 preseason here in the Premier Madden League. Just because our offseason was that explosive, we need to have a bit more preseason action just to digest what happened, especially the big trade for Deandre Hopkins, continue to assess our quarterback situation, and then we can, get into week 1 action against the Atlanta Falcons. But for today's video, we are going to be going over the rest of our preseason with the Miami Dolphins. Also today, I'd like to spend some of the video kind of explaining to you guys some of the intricacies of how the Premier Madden League works, because there's a lot that goes on with the Premier Madden League in the Discord for the 32 members that doesn't show up in any of these videos that, I can't really explain to you guys because it just happens in the Discord. But there are big events that happen that affect our team and our roster. Like, for instance, how Khalil Tate is a superstar. You guys probably noticed in that snippet of our week 1 preseason game against the Giants in the last video that Khalil Tate was a superstar and Josh Rosen was a superstar. So I'm going to start off by trying to explain to you guys how all of that worked. So Khalil Tate became a superstar because every team, alright, so this is going to sound kind of weird, but this is just the way the league is set up. I'm not a commissioner or anything like that. I don't have any say in what happens. I'm just a member of the league. But the commissioner of the league decided that every team that made the Pro Bowl could give one player that was a 75 overall or under a dev upgrade. So Khalil Tate at the time of the Pro Bowl last season was about a 70 overall. So I was like, hey, let's make Khalil Tate a superstar. Let's designate Khalil Tate as our under 75 overall guy. I was thinking about also giving that to Boston Scott to make him a superstar, but I figured, you know what? Let's get a superstar quarterback in Khalil Tate and potentially make him the face of the franchise and put Josh Rosen on the trade block as DeAndre Hopkins makes this cash, and DeAndre Hopkins isn't loose. By the way, if you're wondering why we gave up so much for DeAndre Hopkins, this might be a part of why his price tag was so high. We'll get into more of the DeAndre Hopkins trade throughout this video as well and kind of explain what happened there. So yeah, we designate Khalil Tate as our guy to get a dev upgrade in the Pro Bowl. So going from star to superstar was huge. And with that, Khalil Tate kind of became the favorite to be our quarterback at the start of Season 3, Week 1. But then the All-Pro list came out for the Premier Madden League. Something that didn't happen during Season 1 but happened during Season 2. There were first and second team All-Pro members of the Premier Madden League where, people were voted based on their stats, either to 1 or 2 of the teams. And as you guys will notice, there's quite a few Miami Dolphins on this list. I believe the Dolphins were at least tied for the most All-Pro members, first or second team. Whoever made the All-Pro first or second team had an automatic dev upgrade, or they could just put either 9 attribute points or 4 attribute points into the player that made the All-Pro team. So if Josh Rosen made first team, he gets 9 points. If Jakeem Grant made second team, he gets 4 points, that kind of thing. But I chose to give everybody dev upgrades. So that meant that Josh Rosen became a superstar. And, that as we overthrow DeAndre Hopkins, not a good look for Khalil Tate, by the way. All of a sudden, that made the quarterback battle interesting again, because now we have not 1, but 2 superstar quarterbacks. We had 0 not too long ago. Now we have this very interesting choice between 2 very good young building blocks for the future, as Jakeem Grant is going to get hurt in the preseason here. That was not a throw we should have even been making to Jakeem Grant in the preseason. Probably not even in the regular season. Thankfully, it's just a bruised sternum, so Grant's just out for the game. Fine by me, as Patrick Mahomes is actually going to unwind, go downfield, and that pass is going to be swatted. So yeah, we got Josh Rosen as a superstar. Jakeem Grant became an X Factor because he made an All-Pro team. Minka Fitzpatrick is an X Factor. Obviously, we can't see that because he's not on the team anymore. But Minka Fitzpatrick did become an X Factor. Unfortunately, we never got to see him on the team as an X Factor. It's so sad, right? Because we did all that just to throw interceptions, trying to throw the ball to DeAndre Hopkins, right? And then the final guy was Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker was normal dev at the end of last season, but since he led the league in tackles and was an All-Pro and all that, he got a dev upgrade naturally through the game from normal to star. And then because he made an All-Pro team, we were able to take him from star to superstar, and that gave him superstar ability. So that pretty much breaks down how we got, all these new colorful players on our team. Also, Derek Brown went from normal to star in the offseason after the Pro Bowl week, not by any Discord stuff, any voodoo. So you know, a lot of stuff worked in our favor. You know, the joke in our Discord, we call it dev welfare, where like people are just getting dev traits because of like random stuff. As whoa, Deandre Hopkins makes the catch. Look at Nuke doing his thing. So the next thing I want to explain to you guys is actually something I explained to you guys last season, which is the way the draft works in our league. So at the time of the draft, when you draft a player, everybody has normal dev, but our commissioner runs a very, very unique system as far as figuring out who's going to get dev traits amongst players. This guy, the commissioner, he sims an entire like 4-year franchise or a season or whatever of NCAA 14 and has all of the players from the draft class in this NCAA like mock-up, and then through that mock-up and along with it like a number of different factors, including like where a player was drafted and all these crazy things. I don't even know it all, to be completely honest with you guys, but at the end of the day, here's the results as far as all the players that were star, superstar, or X Factor. Everybody not listed, they were normal dev. There were 2 Miami Dolphins on that list. One of them was Tyreek Smith, our 3rd round pick out of Ohio State. He ended up being a star, and also a superstar, Caden Stearns, the 7th overall pick. The man chosen to replace Minka Fitzpatrick is going to immediately be a superstar. Those dev traits were put in before our week 1 game. So you'll notice Caden Stearns is just normal dev right now, but he ends up becoming a superstar. So next episode, you guys will see Caden Stearns as a superstar, which is crazy because I figured we would draft Caden Stearns and develop him into a superstar. We would build him the way we built Minka Fitzpatrick. Instead, we are kind of just handed this superstar safety. And it's going to be interesting to see what abilities we get on Caden Stearns, because this is truly a game changer. And this means a lot as far as the impact of our Dolphins team post Deandre Hopkins trade, because if we could just plug and play, hold on a second, we got another injury. That's our 2nd round pick, Lynn Jay Dixon out of Clemson. We would definitely like for him to not get hurt, because Lynn Jay is also in a battle for a starting job. Him and Boston Scott are competing for the starting running back position right now. Even though Boston Scott did very well for us last season, Lynn Jay Dixon, promising young rookie, might take that spot, or at least have him and Boston Scott splitting the carries. We'll have to see how that one plays out for our Dolphins. So you'll see Josh Rosen is in for the second half of this game. Khalil Tate got the start in the first half. Last time out against the Giants, Josh Rosen got the start and Khalil Tate played, the last 3 quarters of that game. So we're just going to continue flipping that one for the rest of the preseason. So I think we might just give Khalil Tate the start for the next game and let Rosen come off the bench, and then maybe get Rosen to start in week 4 as Rosen making the throw. And Rosen has been very impressive in this preseason. In his small sample size against the New York Giants, he did very well, especially playing with DeAndre Hopkins. Khalil Tate, meanwhile, missed DeAndre Hopkins on an open touchdown. And, it is raining, but it's going to rain in Miami. We got to factor that as we get a beautiful throw from Rosen, who has that pocket deadeye superstar ability, but a nice strip from the Kansas City Chiefs takes the ball away from John Brown. There's a couple of interesting position battles as far as people making the roster, especially at the wide receiver position, because, we have our top 3 receivers in lockdown: D-Hop, Colin Johnson, and Jakeem Grant. After that, we have Brashad Perriman under contract, but we were able to sign John Brown for at least the preseason, and John Brown might be earning himself a roster spot as long as he doesn't fumble whenever he gets the ball. So that might be nice for us, as you see Jason Verrett still in the game, but a lot of backups in the game at this point. We do have Caden Stearns out here. We're trying to develop Stearns for all it's worth. This game ends up getting pretty interesting as Joe Burrow is leading the Chiefs almost into the end zone. Burrow and Warren denied. 2nd down and goal, denied once again. And even though it's preseason, we're trying to give it all out here to get a goal line stop. And for the 3rd time in a row, our defense gets the stop at the 1. 4th and goal, obviously going to go forward is the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's going to be incomplete. Caden Stearns makes the play to force the incompletion. Probably should have been intercepted, but whatever. We'll take it. That's going to be, I believe, Mohamed Sanu making that catch. That's Brashad Perriman downfield, and Rosen finds him, and Perriman's going to put the dagger in the Chiefs in this preseason game. So the Chiefs have Joe Burrow as their backup, so Joe Burrow, unfortunately, probably never going to do much in this CFM since he's the backup to Patrick Mahomes. And next game that you guys are going to see in a couple of seconds, we're going to be going against Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 overall pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll assume he's going to be starting the game for these Steelers, so that should be a fun one, as the Chiefs still battling in this one, so I think the next thing we really need to talk about is the DeAndre Hopkins trade, because I really feel like that trade split the comment section down in the middle, 50-50, as far as people who approve the trade and people who feel like we gave up too much in the trade. And both sides of the argument are completely true. We probably did give up too much for DeAndre Hopkins. CeeDee Lamb, young promising receiver, he definitely was on the come up, especially that week 17 game, as you guys remember, against the Indianapolis Colts. And then we gave up Minka Fitzpatrick, for crying out loud. Minka Fitzpatrick, young safety. He was due a contract in a couple of seasons. We just offered him a 5th-year contract, but still, like, whatever he wanted, we were going to pay him. At the same time, though, man, DeAndre Hopkins is the kind of game-changing receiver that we were never going to have in CeeDee Lamb in this CFM. This online connected franchise is most likely going to go on for 3 more seasons. So that's going to take us to until Madden 21. So we're going to have in total 5 seasons. This is season 3 out of 5. So within those 3 seasons, like, I just felt like, whatever we were going to have in CeeDee Lamb in that first round pick, it was never going to amount to what DeAndre Hopkins could be in the 3 seasons for us. Minka Fitzpatrick was just the price we had to pay along with those other assets. Unfortunately, it just ended up being the way it was. But, DeAndre Hopkins is really balling out in this preseason. It is preseason, but, I'm really feeling out DeAndre Hopkins. He has this superstar ability called out and corner specialist that we are definitely messing around with. You'll see we're using it right here. Khalil Tate getting the start, finding Nuke, and DeAndre Hopkins, a nice gain of 26 right away. Next play, Hopkins, out route. Like I said, we're testing out these abilities. They work pretty well if you ask me, man. Like, this is something we just didn't have last season. We didn't have a number 1 go-to receiver that either needed to be double-teamed, or if he was not, he was going to dominate. Colin Johnson and CeeDee Lamb were never truly going to be those guys because they were just rookies, right? They didn't really have any crazy stats to their name. As Trevor Lawrence, a little bit out of whack here, going to throw that ball away. It looked like he had a touchdown downfield, but he ends up living to play another down, and it's going to be a good down because Tevin Coleman juking, and there goes Coleman off to the races. So, yeah, that's a bit of why I decided to make the trade. And plus, man, I feel like we just needed to make a trade at some point for our squad, trade for a star. We have the salary cap to trade for a superstar, so I was like, man, we got to do something with this Dolphins team because otherwise we're going to just be moving a bit laterally, We just got to do something. Just, give some sort of spark for this squad because at the end of the day, what is it? The postseason loss against the Buffalo Bills, even the game against the Colts in the postseason, it felt like our passing game, was a bit lacking, a superstar to give the ball to. So Hopkins might be our answer, might not. Either way, it should be fun to have DeAndre Hopkins. Whoever our quarterback is going to be is definitely going to enjoy DeAndre Hopkins. Khalil Tate with a great start in this first quarter. 3rd down 21, though. Not much to do, but pretty much just take the field goal at this point. Make sure you don't get knocked out of field goal range. See if Jakeem Grant can do anything. And we end up kicking it up and good with Joey Sly. At this point, the quarterback position is probably still Khalil Tate's job to lose. Oh, what an interception by the rookie Caden Stearns. I definitely like the way Caden Stearns is playing out here, man. He's definitely got a lot of promise, especially once he gets superstar development. That's going to be a big key for our young Dolphins squad. Still a young Dolphins squad, man, even though we're bringing in a couple of vets as we go to Hopkins, who makes the catch on Stevie Nelson. Man, oh man, Hopkins is taking over now as Grant can make the catch over Shazier. 2nd down, Lynn Jay Dixon with the ball. Lynn Jay falling forward. Lynn Jay not looking bad out here, man. Lynn Jay might have to be our starter. We might just go complete youth movement with our Miami Dolphins once again on the offensive end, but have a couple of veterans in there like DeAndre Hopkins, and now Jakeem Grant is definitely a veteran of this team. That's a vet. John Brown getting the touchdown. I think John Brown is earning his spot on the roster as Barry nearly gets the ball in the deflection. Of course, the 3rd preseason game out of 4 in the preseason schedule is usually the one where the starters play 3/4 of the game in Madden, so they'll play most of the game. So this is going to be a nice little test session for us to, practice some offense, practice some defense, see who's looking nice out there. But at the end of the day, man, this defense is star-studded. We have, once we get Caden Stearns, 5 superstars on the defensive end. We have Raekwon McMillan, Jerome Baker. We have Caden Stearns, and then we have Malik Harrison. So it's stars all around. And and Xavier Howard. So considering the team we took over and the team we have now from season 1 to season 3, major difference. Speaking of major differences, how about Deandre Hopkins? Even though it's only the preseason, he might be changing some of the doubters' minds about their thoughts on this trade. As, wow, okay, what a catch. Flag on the field. It's actually going to be defensive pass interference, so the catch and the run after still stands. Decline the penalty. Put Trevor Lawrence in the red zone, as unfortunately they're not able to do anything at the goal line. Tevin Coleman got a couple of carries and went nowhere. A pretty uneventful preseason for Trevor Lawrence. That's going to be the last snap he plays of the preseason, I believe, as Lynn Jay Dixon bouncing outside with that juke move. Lynn Jay Dixon! Okay, the Rook's got moves. He's elusive in the open field. That's all you can ask. As Deandre Hopkins makes the catch yet again. Khalil Tate and Deandre Hopkins have been busy. Not this time around. Tate holds the ball for forever. And finally takes off. Tate sliding down to the 23-yard line. This is normally a situation where you kick the field goal, but it is preseason. I am trying to get snaps. I am trying to practice. So if we get sacked and we cannot kick a field goal, not really my problem. We're not out here to win or lose in the preseason. We're here to practice with our squad. So we learned something not to do, I suppose, as Xavier Howard's going to get the interception. No one really got rested for the preseason. I didn't really feel like we really needed to rest anyone. The only guy I probably would have rested would have been like Jakeem Grant. I would be resting. Oh, wow. Look at Lynn Jay Dixon just casually walking into the end zone. I would be resting DeAndre Hopkins, but we need to practice with D-Hop. We need to get some chemistry with D-Hop with these quarterbacks as Raekwon McMillan gets one heck of a one-handed interception. That was insane. This is easy. This is too easy for DeAndre Hopkins. Hop is proving that you cannot leave him single covered, especially against press coverage. Case Keenum in the game, and he's going to throw a lofting dime for a touchdown. Keenum, he's always around. Whenever you have a young quarterback, Case Keenum's always around to try to steal a couple of starts before the rook is ready, it feels like, as this is going to be a field goal from Joey Sly. After this, we have one more preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks, and then that's going to be it for the preseason. Meanwhile, while all these games are going on, we are still trying to shop both of our quarterbacks on the auction house. I'm talking about like MUT, on the trade block. That's still kind of MUT, but that's more so CFM. We're trying to trade one of these quarterbacks. Like, I want someone to trade for either Tate or Rosen. Make the decision for me, right? Make the decision for me so I don't have to make it. Because right now, I'm still split in the middle between whether I want Tate or Rosen. Rosen is definitely the guy we're going to shop more because Tate is on the rookie contract for the next 3 seasons. Meanwhile, Rosen is going to be a free agent next year. You could franchise tag him, but that's a hefty price. And, you know, at the end of the day, as far as roster flexibility, Khalil Tate's the option. As far as better quarterback, Rosen's probably the option. But then again, if we give Khalil Tate starts, we could develop him pretty quickly. DeAndre Hopkins is still an absolute beast. So in the 4th preseason game, the starters really only play for 1 quarter. So we're probably going to see only 1 quarter of D-Hop and most of the starters as Khalil Tate gets sacked. But while this 4th preseason game was going on, there's a deal in the works right now for Josh Rosen to get traded. Which is interesting because Rosen is suited up and ready to go. Rosen is ready to play in the preseason, and there are rumors that Josh Rosen is possibly leaving Miami at this moment, and Khalil Tate could just become the starter by default, which means that we're probably going to need a backup quarterback. Kirk Cousins, by the way, he's only on this team for the preseason. We're not keeping Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins right now costs like $20 million to be on this roster, and I'd rather not. I'd really rather not be paying Kirk Cousins $20 million at this point of his career, right? We're just sticking with Khalil Tate, and we'll just have a trash backup at this point. So we really need to protect Khalil Tate. We're doing a couple of like silly spin moves with Khalil Tate in the preseason. Now we need to make sure that, you know, he is all good, ready to go. So even though this is the end of the first quarter and Khalil Tate should be on the bench and Josh Rosen should be in the game, Josh Rosen's not in because the trade is official. Josh Rosen at this point has officially been traded to the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are the team that we play in week 1 of the regular season. So Josh Rosen has been traded unofficially, not in game yet, but has been agreed to be traded to the Atlanta Falcons, and that means that Josh Rosen will be playing against the Miami Dolphins in week 1 of the regular season. which is mind-blowing right now. So we bid farewell to another man we have been building in this franchise since day one, as Rashad Penny just knocks everyone down. Penny's going to be gone for an 83-yard touchdown. Like, okay, Madden. But, yeah, Josh Rosen unfortunately gone. I really wish we could have stuck with Rosen and really built them up, but, you know, I feel like mainly roster flexibility. We could just build Khalil Tate and, you know, eventually he'll be as good as Rosen. It's sad to miss out on Rosen. We spent 2 full seasons building him into what he was, which is eventually a superstar quarterback, and we don't get to reap the real benefits of it in the regular season. But, you know, we had to do what we had to do because we also, by the way, Eric Berry's also gone. Eric Berry has also been traded at this point, as Caden Stearns gets the interception, but it is going to be pass interference on Caden Stearns, so the interception does not count. Eric Berry's also gone, so we continue to get rid of fan favorites, right? Like, what the hell am I doing? I just hate you guys, right? But in return, we got a second-round pick from the Atlanta Falcons, and we also got Ricardo Allen. Basically, Eric Berry was traded away to give the Atlanta Falcons an immediate starter in place for Ricardo Allen, just to kind of help him out. In return, though, we did get Ricardo Allen, who, at this point of the CFM, is an 87 overall superstar X Factor. So, in place of Eric Berry, we actually got a better free safety. Not a taller one, but a better one, overall-wise and all that stuff. And, you know, age-wise, because Eric Berry's like 32 at this point of this CFM. And, you know, we got a second-round pick, because why not? So, at the end, you know, flipping Josh Rosen for a new superstar on this squad is basically what the deal was. This is pretty much going to do it for the preseason. So, we're going to go over, you know, one more play here. It's going to be Tate, who played pretty much the entire game because he was really the only quarterback we could play since Josh Rosen got traded. And then we got that touchdown there. We end up getting the victory. And what I'll show you guys before the end of the video is the trade going official in the game before our week 1 game against the Atlanta Falcons, which will set up quite the storyline, which will set up, you know, also a revenge game for Ricardo Allen, but mainly a revenge game for Josh Rosen and Eric Berry. So, you see Khalil Tate at this point is an 81 overall. So, he is ready to officially be the starter of the Miami Dolphins. So, we will be taking on the Atlanta Falcons with Khalil Tate under center. We will be taking on the Atlanta Falcons with Deandre Hopkins out wide, with Lynn Jay Dixon as the starting running back. A lot of new faces for this Miami Dolphins team once again. We just made a lot of moves, man. We had a lot of assets to make moves, and I told you guys, we were going to try to make moves, and moves we made, man, for better or worse, we will have to see. But the trade is official. As you guys see, Rosen and Berry gone. Allen and a second-round pick for next season's draft are in. So, that'll do it for today's video. Before we end it, one more thing. We'll check out Ricardo Allen. I'll show you guys his stats and all that. But yeah, that'll do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed all this preseason action. I hope you guys understood what I was saying at the beginning of the video, explaining how the CFM works and, you know, how a lot of things are ran in a Discord that is not in my control, basically. I just kind of just go with the flow with this thing. And yeah, so Ricardo Allen, 87 overall, X Factor. His contract is up after this season, but we're probably going to re-sign him. We'll keep an eye on that, you know, soon. But yeah, next time I catch you guys, week 1 against Josh Rosen and the Atlanta Falcons, it's going to be one heck of a show. That's for sure.